Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that introduction, DJ. And good afternoon to everyone who are listening to Von Radio at this time. Of course, we know Von Radio have a very large audience, whether locally here in the Federation, that is, throughout the Virgin Islands, US and British, that is, St. Martin, the United States. I mean, we have followers all up and down the United States, I should say, from East Coast to West Coast and further afield. So Von Radio is an internationally listened to radio. So I welcome one and all, whatever the circumstances are on your side, whether you're experiencing morning, evening, or daytime, as we are here in Nevis as well. It is a hot day here in Nevis, a very hot day here in Nevis. So let me admonish everyone to drink your water, stay hydrated, and stay out of the sun if you can. But if you have to work in the sun, just be careful. My name is Alexis Jeffers, and of course, as you heard from the onset, this is a brand new program. But of course, I've been on Von Radio on numerous occasions in the past. I believe my relationship with Von Radio as a talk show host goes back to I was going to say about 1998 thereabout, but actually when I first got onto a show here on the mark was about 2006 thereabout, and I've been here since in various capacities, of course, but we have just started this new program on point. As a matter of fact, many may ask, well, why another program? Let's put it this way. On Monday evenings, Von Radio have a talk show from time to time. Then you have one that is around for a long time, or has been around for a long time. That is the Let's Talk program. Indeed, on the mark have been on the airways here of Bon Radio since I believe about 2005, 2006 as well. So a number of years. And then of course on Thursday evening you have another program which is Government at Work. So Von Radio also should have some programming every day, or every night if possible. So I'm filling out a slot here from 1 p.m. until 2 p.m. on a Friday afternoon. And I chose a Friday afternoon because I do believe that even when you're having your lunch, you don't want to hear some information being imparted. So I'm glad to be here. And we're here to provide information, yes, whether from the NIA or from my personal standpoint, or information that will impact our various communities here on the island of Nevis. But indeed, it is my pleasure being here, and I intend to be here every Friday, starting today and next week and beyond, God's willing. But of course, we'll have interviews with persons who would want to come on from time to time. I am sure that there will be times when other persons may want to come and host the program if I am absent. So those are certain things to look forward to as well. But this afternoon we're here to give a report and also to touch on other issues that are important to us. But first of all, let me start by saying that we promoted an event that we held on Whit Monday, the 29th of May. And I will say from the onset that I want to thank everyone, those who worked, those who supported the event, those who were well-wishers of the event. We want to thank you wholeheartedly for your overwhelming support. But as I do from time to time, when it comes to any event that I am responsible for, I normally give credit and commendations to all those who were involved. And when I say give credit, individually and collectively, I would want to do that. So that will be part of the discourse this afternoon. Indeed, the event, I will say, was a success. At least with the help of God, the weather was cooperative in many ways. It was a hot day as well too, but at least we were able to have an event from, we said 5 a.m., but we didn't get started until about 6 a.m. and we went down until somewhere around 11 p.m. on Monday evening. But all in all, it was a successful event. Persons came throughout the day to patronize the event, and also in the evening, especially when we had some music from the Grandmasters, we had a decent crowd, a very good crowd, I should say, and persons certainly enjoy themselves. So it was an event to raise funds, and it was also an event where persons were entertained throughout the day so as to spend a nice holiday and with Monday holiday with us there in Brooklyn, in the heart of Brickhill, that is. But in terms of the returns, let me start with the returns. The monies that were derived from the sale of food and drinks. We made just about $19,888.27. So that was all in a day's work. We were trying to get to at least 20,000. We fell short by just a few dollars, but whatever it is, we are thankful for all the returns that we would have had. In terms of expenses, there were some expenses, but we have decided that we'll cover some of the expenses, but we'll ensure that each person and the persons who we're raising these funds for are as follows: Mr. Thomas Dorr, Mrs. Miranda Alexander, and also Mr. Tesson Manders Clark. We have determined that we will give to each person a check or funds in the amount of $6,000. So each person will get $6,000 towards the medical expenses, and then the other expenses, of course, will find a way, as they say. Where there is a will, there is a way. We all believe in that, and we will find a way to cover those other small expenses that we have to cover. So each person will get $6,000, and the handing over ceremony, we have planned that for Sunday afternoon at 5 p.m. at the Franklin Brown Community Center. And we have solicited the help of those who were with us from the beginning to organize that small handing over ceremony. And also we have asked for the presence of NNC, that's the Nevis television station. Von Radio, I'm going to ask Von Radio if they can come along as well, just to document and archive that handed over ceremony of those funds. We did so last year, and those of you who were following us over the years, last year we had a similar event. We raised just under $15,000, and those funds were to assist Mr. Fitzroy Warner and Mr. Lester Pemberton. They both got just over $7,400 plus. The exact figures I don't have, but I know each one of them got over $7,400. And we had a handing over ceremony then. We tried to be as transparent as possible, and I don't want to use the word try. We want to be transparent with monies when you raise these funds, because you want to ensure the confidence is there for persons to come back next year and make their contributions. I will say this year the support was overwhelming to the point where we had more food than we were expecting to have. But then again, you have to be prepared, so we prepared adequately, and even beyond being adequate as well, we had more than enough food and drinks, and that is something we want to ensure happens next year, God's willing. So that is why I am insisting that we be as transparent as possible and report to the general public accordingly. In terms of the persons and entities that were instrumental in making this particular event a success, I want to spend some time and call each person's name, each business name. That is why I took out this spot today to do so, because I want to recognize persons. Let their names be called so that at least the general public would know that these persons were instrumental in bringing about the success of this particular event. So I will start now, and you bear with me accordingly, but of course, as I said, transparency is the order of the day. So this event was put on by the Brooklyn and Butlers community, and I dubbed it that way because I figure that the more effort you garner from the Butlers area and the Brooklyn area, the better it will be in the end. It is an event that I co-spearhead, and indeed my name have been called all along, but I also want to single out another individual who was there with me from the start until the end. And when I forget something, he remembers. When I remember, he also remembers. So he was always on the ball. And I'm speaking of none other than Amoy Nisbet. Amoy is the one who would have gone out as well and solicited support from some of the persons whose name I will call. So Amoy and I were the main organizer of this event, plus others who would have assisted, and I'll call those names as I go. But Amoy, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for the effort that we would have exerted on this particular event and the one last year. And indeed, you are a true community man. You have shown the community spirit that is certainly consistent with us here on the island of Nevis, and it is one that we all should emulate. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, and also thank you. I'm sure you'll get thank you as well from the recipients as well also. So indeed, it was a collective effort, and all of these persons whose name I'll call now, as I said before, were instrumental in some way to make this event a success. So I just mentioned Amai, of course, he was top of the list. And indeed, I also want to thank Nelma Warner Greenaway. Those of you who don't know Nelma, she is someone we call a pet name Widow. She's a Warner from right there in Brooklyn. The land that we had that event on is her property, and we would have asked for the use of that property, and she was very kind enough to allow us to use that property. The caretaker of that property is Mr. Levi Daniel, and he's the one who we normally would have to go through. I also want to thank the Nevis Island administration and the Premier of Nevis, the Honorable Mark Brantley, who was also instrumental in assisting us in a big way in this particular event. Alistair Thompson, when I called on him to prepare the booths or construct the booths and provide the stage, he was very much on the ball. Him and his team, I want to acknowledge you and thank you publicly. Also, those guys or individuals who moved the tents for social services, they were also instrumental in bringing the tent and picking it up, and also delivering those containers, those drinks containers, back to Long Point, for which we are thankful for. It saved us a trip, of course. We also got the assistance of the tent moving team of the education department as well. I want to thank the entire department and the team that came, and also Minister Libert as well for his effort. I also want to thank Mr. Terran Blues Wallace. We all know Blues. Blues is an electrician. He was a part of the organization as well. He was a part of the execution, and he made sure we had some lights in the evening as well too. So I want to thank you, Blues. In terms of the cleaning of the chicken and the preparation of some of the meat products, and also the setting up of the bar, I want to thank Mr. Evans Monkey Thomas. I had to get his correct name today, but I know him as Monkey, and he loves to be called Monkey, but you know, we want to be we want to make sure we are giving everyone their correct name here this afternoon, even though some people prefer to be called by their nickname. So Evans Monkey Thomas. Also Vaughn Fraser was one who assisted in the bar. He also helped with the setting of the bar. I also want to thank Tracy Fraser. Roy Nisbet was instrumental in getting some of the initial work done as well too. Kevin Google Warner, we all know Kevin. He works up there at the veterinary clinic. He was also instrumental in getting breadfruit, cleaning up the meat, doing all sorts of things behind the scene to get the activity going. Rickel Tobo Mills. We got a lot of nicknames over there in the St. James area, eh? But everyone should know Tobo. Tobo is always on the road, and he does a marvelous job as well in the morning cleaning the side of the roads over there in the Barnaby Potworks area. So Tobo, thanks for your effort. Lester Carpy Daniel, I have to call his name as well because he was also a part of the overall setup and the execution. Link Entertainment, that is a group over there in St. James, a group of young persons who normally put on promotional events. And Jariv is a part of that, and the other guys who are part of it as well. I mentioned Jariv because he's the one who is normally calling around and seeking assistance when they have events on behalf of Link Entertainment Group. Also want to thank Jamal Sky Juice Jeffers. He was the one who did the flyer, and of course he's off island at this point. Hopefully he's hearing his name being called for his efforts as well. Mikey Johnson, or Michael Johnson, or Mikey as we say. Mikey was one who provided a lot of transportation on the day of the event in terms of picking up some of the food items. And Mikey, we want to thank you because when we said go to Whitehall, go to Butlers, go to camps, he was always on the ball to run and go. And I want to thank you, Mikey. Shanil Skeet, of course. Shanil Skeet was one who would have handled the cash meaning she was one of the cashiers. She was there from the get-go and was there throughout the afternoon and evening. She was one of the cashiers. I want to thank you, Chanel. Also, Leonie Skeets, she worked in the food stall, serving food from the start, then went and came back, and she was there pretty much up until the end. Patricia Jeffers as well, she was there from the start. She was there serving throughout and was there until the end. And I know couldn't have been an easy task, so I want to thank you, Pats, and I want to thank you, Leonie. I also want to thank Regan Daniel. She made the stew mutton. She not only did that, but she came down to serve that same stew mutton, meaning she came and worked in the food stall all day. And we want to thank you, Regan, for your effort and your exploits as well. Leon Paul, I think I got this right. This is a Dominican friend of ours. She worked over there at Grub, not restaurant, but Grub Snack It, right there in the Potworks area. She called the morning of the event and asked if she can come and help. I said, of course. Come along, and she did come along, spend a number of hours there to make sure that the service was rendered in the food stall. I want to thank you, Mrs. Paul, for your effort. Linda Ballantyne, she was also a cashier slash a bartender because she was there serving drinks in the bar as well, and I want to thank you, Linda, for coming to lend your support. Mrs. Velma Jones, she told me she was coming, and she did come, and she spent all day working in the food stall, serving the food, and for that we are eternally grateful for that. Velma, thank you. Every time I call on Velma, she always comes. And Cheryl Sutton, I'm recognizing you because you were all transport from Butlers. All of the food that came now from Butlers, Cheryl was the one. Not only that, she went all the way to Hickman's for food as well too. She said the best I can do or the least I can do, because she won't be able to serve food, she can pick it up and bring it so that persons can serve it. So Cheryl, you played an instrumental part in ensuring that the food got there. Cordelia Brown and the Butlers, she would have prepared almost a half case of saltfish. You know, those of you who can cook would know what a half case of saltfish look like. She was able to provide us with that on Monday, and we want to thank you for your effort. She just said, just bring the saltfish, and she would do the rest. We didn't have to give her any ingredients at all, so more than likely she would have provided them herself, or they were contributed to her by someone. Be that the case, she would have provided some sumptuous saltfish to us on Monday. Mike Brown, the husband of Cordelia, he would have played a major role in providing us with the vegetables for the green salad. I want to thank you, Mike, because when I called, you said to come to the farm. I went to the farm, and there it was a basket full of cucumber, tomatoes, for example. You didn't hesitate, and I appreciate that, and all of us are thankful for that, Mike. Thank you very much. Wenford Griffin and Good Taste Bakery there in Brick Hill, over the gut as we say. He would have baked a couple cases of chicken for us. Wenford, I want to thank you, because of course baking the chicken without any hesitation is what we like about persons like you, who consent to do things without any hesitation whatsoever. Thank you very much, Wenford, and we wish your business well. Good Taste Bakery. I want persons to patronize Wenford and his bakery over there, over the gut in Brick Hill. I also want to thank Jasper Stapleton of Pecker Construction. He paid for one of the goats. As we say colloquially, he paid for a head of mutton. And we want to thank you, Jasper, for your generous donation to this event. Without hesitation, you would have gone, not only brought the money to us, but you went and paid, which is phenomenal. We appreciate that as well. I also want to thank Mr. Farrell Smitten, former Speaker of the Nevis Island Assembly. When we called on him to pay for the mutton that was provided, he did not hesitate, my apologies. He did not hesitate to pay for that as well. I want to thank you, Farrell. And then, of course, Sheila Jeffers there at Tropic Ice. She would have rented us the containers for the drinks at a nominal fee. Of course, things are difficult in business these days, so when you see someone cut their costs to accommodate you, then you must be appreciative, and we are appreciative, Sheila, of your kind generosity there. Erica Allen, we want to thank you for your contribution as well. Lynette Stanley, we want to thank you for making those sausage for breakfast on that day. Thank you very much. Dan Perkins, he provided us with some fish. He provided us with his effort as well in the evening in the bar. I want to thank you. Tasha Byron. Now, Tasha Byron would have folded all of the forks and spoon that were needed for our goat water and chicken and the likes. So she spent some time doing that, folding those fork and spoon in the napkin so as to make life easy. So you made things a little bit easier for us on that day, Tasha. Pastor Cumberbatch up there in Mount Lily, he pastors at the Mount Lily Church of Christ. He made some fried and roast breadfruit, and Pastor, I'll tell you, within the space of an hour, all was gone. So it means then you would have done a marvelous job of fried and roasting those breadfruit. I guess it's a Windward Island thing, but it's catching on here in Nevis as well too. But that's a part of your cuisine there in the Windward Islands, and I'm sure it is something that could be imparted here as well. So more persons utilize breadfruit for sure. There are a lot of breadfruit that we say go to waste here on Nevis, so we have found some new ways. There's always the breadfruit salad, of course, but these fried breadfruit and roast breadfruit sometimes can be a change up in terms of not using the regular potato fries or bread or that type of thing. So, Pastor, thank you for your effort there. Eddie Keynes came from all the way in Charlestown, not only Charlestown, all the way up in Braziers, and came to Brick Hill to barbecue. He would have barbecued, and we had to stop him because he was so good, so quick. And they were well done, eh? These were that chicken that were rushed through any process. He went and he did a marvelous job. He said he can hold on 45 chicken or more on his grill. So you know it's a big grill. And once he was done with that first round, we said, take a break. He went home and came back and continued. Thank you very much, Eddie. And of course, Alexis Jeffers, she came and she was one of the cashiers as well, assisted in the kitchen also. Christine, I want to thank you for your effort, as well as Janisha Daniel. She was also a cashier, and she came and she made sure that the monies were accounted for. As a matter of fact, she was a part of the team that counted the final returns that came. Well, they came up with the final tally in terms of the amount of money that was collected. So it was Janisha, Shanil, and of course this person as well, Aldriska Burke. She was one of the cashiers as well. But Shanil, Chrislyn, and Janisha did the final tally, of course. Jamal Daniel, I want to thank you for your effort, your contribution, and also the provision of transportation as well. Casval Douglas, he played his role early in terms of getting the site ready for us. Everson Webb and Webb Trucking. Webb's Trucking, he is from the Cotton Ground area. You all know Rastaman Ev. He made his contribution towards the purchase of some of the raw material that we needed. Glendina Glasgow, she would have done some eggs and other things. Thank you very much, Glenn. And also Javier Wilkinson, he would have contributed financially, and also some of the takeaway containers that were provided for that day. He also would have taken back all of the empties back to carry breweries as well for us. You know, he does trucking, so patronize him if you need to move something from Long Point to any part of the island. Give Javier a call. If you want his number, you can call me. I would have to go into my phone. So Javier, expect some calls from the general public. I know you're a very efficient truck operator, and we appreciate the work that you do here on the island of Nevis. Of course, in a big way, Darren Sutton and his team delivered. Darren would have provided the infrastructure, the musical infrastructure, that is, in terms of the speakers, the mixer, the microphones, the drums, that is, that were used by the band grandmasters later on in the afternoon. So he did that at no cost. That, I believe, deserve some serious commendation, because equipment are not cheap, and if someone will go about providing that type of infrastructure at no cost, then I have to give them maximum commendation for doing that. Thank you very much, Darren. This is not the first time. You did so last year, and we want to thank you. We're now soliciting your help for next year, God's willing, as well. So once you start doing something good, you have to continue being good, and you have to continue providing the service. So you can't back down. We expect you to be around next year, God's willing, to help us at that time as well. Warren Bratcher out of Brick Hill, but now he has, how should I say, migrated to St. Kitts. He have that place there on, what street it is now? 4th Street, and that's not Cairn Street. That is whatever street it is, the street before Cairn Street. But anyway, those of you in St. Kitts, you're right there in his bar right now having some goat water, bullfoot soup, and some drinks. Right there on the corner of 4th Street and the street that connects 4th Street with Church Street. That's not Cairn Street. What is it called? I forgot. But anyway, that's okay. We all know where Warren Bratcher is. Warren, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for your contribution towards this event, and your success in business is as a result of your large heart, your kindness, and your gratitude towards people, and the way you assist people. And indeed, we'll always reciprocate your kindness by patronizing you as well when we're in St. Kitts. And those of you who are in St. Kitts, go on and spend some money with Warren Bratcher. Yeah, thank you. Grandmasters, every time you call Grandmasters, they're always there. And Wingrove, you and your band, you are a phenomenal team. And when you came there that evening to play, it was the sweetest music we would have heard for a long time. Grandmasters is the band, they say right now, that is making waves in the Federation. And it has been so for some time, for a number of years. And I love to call Grandmasters, because when they call, they always seem to have a space for us when we call, or for myself when I call. And I want to thank you, Grandmasters. You certainly made a difference that evening, on Monday evening, that is. Thank you. Odyssey Band, local band, homegrown, they're from Brick Hill, and they have been around for a number of years. They played in the morning. At least they would have been the one who had that juve from the camps area up to Brick Hill. They came and they stayed there for about an hour or more and played some music, and that would have been the music that kept the crowd there during that time, and we appreciate that. And you see, we said this was a community effort, and all this is a part of that particular package in terms of us in the community playing our part to ensure that we can help those in need. So Odyssey, you played your part. We appreciate it, and we look forward to your continued support. And those of you out there who have any event, whether large or small, call the band and let them play. Sometimes you can negotiate, I'm sure. It doesn't have to be what they have listed on their rate sheet. If you can only pay a certain amount, try and negotiate and give them a little gig here and there so that they can stay active in the community and continue to hone their skills. Thank you very much, Odyssey. DJ Zimba, that's my boy Zimba. Every time I call him, he always come. Zimba came first thing on Monday morning, and he started off there for us in terms of having some musical entertainment. Zimba, I want to thank you. You're always at my beck and call, if I want to put it that way. And I want to thank you for your effort as well. DJ Wet Dot out of St. Kitts. He's always there, playing the right music as well too, because when he came there, there was a mature crowd there to some extent between say midday and 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock thereabout. And you can know when a DJ knows his craft, because he would look at the crowd and play the music that the crowd that is currently there will enjoy. And I think he played some good old school music that was nice enough to keep the crowd there and keep them spending. DJ Lalbo, I am not so sure if you played, because I didn't hear you, but if you did, I want to thank you. But you were expected to be there, so I hope you would have come. If you didn't come, that's okay. You had good intentions of coming, but I believe you came. Once you came and you played, I appreciate that. I didn't hear you, but of course you were down to play, and we appreciate your effort as well. The Mighty Landlord. The reason why I'm recognizing the Mighty Landlord, he was a part of the entertainment. We didn't have him on the docket to perform, but he took up the mic and he went up and he performed, and it was that type of entertainment that the crowd that was there were quite pleased with. So I said I recognize him, because everything that you do in these at these events certainly have an impact in terms of whether a positive or negative impact. Well, we're thinking positive now. There was a positive impact on the part of the mighty landlord. He's always up and down making noise with his vehicle with some old time soca and so forth. Came there and sang an old song from, I believe, Elimata, one of those calypsonians from St. Kitts. And I think that was well received and appreciated then. Frank and the boys, I didn't hear them play, but they were down to play. If they played, I want to thank you, Frank and the boys, Snowflakes and Babette and the others. But if you didn't play, your intentions were to play. But of course, maybe the slot was not there if you didn't play. But that's okay. We want to get you back next year, all being well. So prepare yourself for that, or any other activity that comes up between now and then. But I want to thank you for your effort. Elroy Shorty Mills, I want to thank you. He provided transportation of tents from the drag race area that's over there at Eden Brown, the drag strip, to the site. And this was done somewhere around 10-11 o'clock on the Sunday night. That's leading up to the event. So he would have come on short notice, called him, said he was coming from church at the same time. We said stop off and let's load up the truck. And I want to thank you, Elroy. And when people are spontaneous like that, that is also something to recognize. That's good. Once you have that type of heart and that type of spirit, you'll be spontaneous to help and rise to the occasion when it is needed. Rodel Whitaker, we want to thank you. You would have provided your financial assistance, you would have provided your support and your effort as well to this event. Thank you very much, sir. I also want to recognize these two businesses, Drift Restaurant and Lunar Restaurant. They would have provided the scallop potato and other items as well. This was done through the instrumentality of Miss Renita Pemberton, who works there, and also her friend. Let me try and find his name. I want to recognize him at this time as well, because Jareem Encarnacion. I break it down that way to make sure I get it right. Jareem Encarnacion. Yeah, I want to thank you, sir, because Jareem would have also sought the assistance of other businesses such as Square Duty Free liquor store to get some liquor as well. So Jareem was instrumental in doing that, and I want to thank you, Jareem. He is someone, when you call upon him as well, he is willing to assist. As a matter of fact, this list of names that I'm going through here, he wanted to prepare it himself. Said he's ready to put it in an Excel or some other form, but I tell him I'll keep it simple so that I can navigate through it easily, which I'm doing now. So Jareem, I want to thank you for your effort and thank you for going out and seeking the assistance of those who are willing to help. I also want to thank Vanilla Nisbet and Flavors Restaurant for their contribution as well. I also want to thank Joanne Wilkinson. I did mention Javier before, but this is Joanne. That's the brother of Javier. He's into trucking and heavy equipment as well. He made a financial contribution. Verlin Glasgow Wilshire, she would have prepared the mackerel. Very tasty, Verlin. Well, we know Verlin can cook. We know men can cook. Women can cook too. Everybody can cook. Verlin can cook because he did some sumptuous mackerel for us. Thank you, Verlin. I also want to thank Leslie Hicks, who provided us with some eggs. Cooked eggs, that is, and also Faye Jones, who would have provided us with some eggs as well for the event. Yvette Jackman, thank you for your effort. Jillian Vaughn would have cooked rice, and she would have done what do you call it now, macaroni pie, and also some sausage as well for that morning, for the breakfast, that is. I want to thank you, Jillian. Paulette Roberts, she would have done saltfish as well. The other half of the case of saltfish was given to Paulette, and she did a marvelous job in preparing that. Thank you, Paulette. Garnet Farmer Stapleton. I say I don't call Farmer name because Farmer like his name to be called this way, Farmer, but his correct name is Garnet Stapleton. He did some pigfoot, and he said he cooks the best pigfoot in Nevis. I mean, well, that's up for debate. We'll have to sit down and eat all of the pigfoot in Nevis and do a test that way to see who is the best. But Garnet has high praise for his own Pigfoot, and I want to thank you, Garnet. All of it was sold. Yeah, Garnet, so that is testimony to your claim, I suppose. Thank you very much. Wilma Johnson, she did some rice. I want to thank you, Wilma. Russell Jeffers Gaskell, I want to thank you for your contribution as well. Lorna Brandy, thank you for your contribution to the event. Fitzroy Warner, last year, like I said, last year's event was geared towards him and Lester. He made a contribution this year. Fitzroy Warner, that is. Thank you, Fitzroy. Lloyd Tad Lescott, of course, you know, when it comes to black and that kind of thing, you know, I'm talking liquor. That's the type of thing Tad is famous for, so he provided us with some bottles of black label. Thank you, Tad, for your contribution. Colin Freeman down there at TDC. I was in the presence of Amoy when he called Colin, and Colin tell him stop by. So thank you, Colin, for your support. You're all the way in New Orleans, but of course you're contributing to some persons who live in the Windward area, in St. James area, and that means, it therefore means that you're an island man. No matter where the cause is, you have certainly shown that you're willing to support, and I want to thank you. Chet Perkins, thanks for frying those fish and other things that you did. We appreciate your effort. And when you go across to the Barnaby area, Chet has a bar there. What is it called again? Imagine I go there every Friday and I forget the name. Well, Big and Tall Bar, because he's short and tall people go there, so I call it Big and Tall Bar. Right there on right in the vicinity of the Perkins. You can't miss it. You'll see a line of cars there on a Friday, on a Saturday, and sometimes during the week as well. He has a bar there. Patronize him as much as you can. Teacher Danielle Wallace, the headmaster up there at St. James Primary School, she would have done her part as well. She provided some Johnny cake and other things on that morning. Thank you very much, Danielle, for your effort. And I'm doing this because people had to wake up on their holiday break, meaning you get a nice little holiday on a Whit Monday, Easter Monday, or Labor Monday, and you say, I want to sleep in a bit longer. People would have gotten up at 5, some 4 in the morning to prepare these things. So it is a sacrifice. There was a sacrifice made to get these things done. And so I go on to Esther Jeffers, who would have done just that. She said she normally get up by 4, prepare her pork, and also Johnny cakes. Those are what she provided for us. And by sunup, she was ready to call, or she would have called and said, come and pick up your stuff. Esther, I have your pot in my Jeep. I'll bring it when I leave the station. I've been driving around with it for a couple of days. I'm so sorry, but I'll drop it off when I get there in a short while. Ethelyn and Jacqueline Doe over there in Hickman's. These are 2 sisters to Thomas Doe. Would have called on Ethelyn. She did about 2 or 3 pans of or sheets of macaroni pie, and also a large pot of pigfoot. Oh man, Ethelyn, you did a phenomenal job. Thank you very much. You are a real cook, because it takes some experience and some commitment to prepare all that in such a short period of time, and we thank you for that as well. And also Mrs. Pemberton down there at Taste of Eden, she would have done some Johnny cakes for us that morning. I want to thank you, Mrs. Pemberton. I went there one day, had a breakfast, and told her, I need you to make some of these Johnny cakes that you're selling me this morning. And she said, sure, just bring the flour, which we did, and she was able to do that. So she's over there at next to National Insurance, you know, that stretch of road where you have Rollins Photo Lab and that building that was once called Bouquet. They had some ceramic stuff being sold there. So she's in that building. Go and patronize her. Her breakfast is very tasty. I normally go there and have a good breakfast on a Friday morning, for example. Really nice. So go ahead and patronize that business. I say these things because persons who contribute, especially businesses, in these difficult times, we understand the sacrifice, and I want us to reciprocate their effort by assisting in that regard. Electa, well, she's Claudia Electa Busu Williams. I'm singling her out because she was the only one who made some pumpkin pie. Your pumpkin pie was good, Lecter. I want to tell you publicly, right? And hopefully we can get some more pumpkin pie next year. But also, if you see the need to make some pumpkin pie for anybody, I say publicly, anybody, make it and call me. Thank you very much, Lecter, for your effort. We got some breadfruit from Lecter as well, too. But she had on quite a number of breadfruit, and we went there and got some, at least to provide to Mr. Cumberbatch as well. We move on to Nevis Food Center up there at Prospect. I want to thank the owner, Mr. David Kawaja. I want to thank the manager, and I'm very clear here now because I sent a letter to the general manager and placed the wrong name, but now I know who the manager is, and I'm saying it publicly. Mr. Ira Martin, I want to thank you for your support, and you are the manager of the Nevis Food Center. I also want to thank Mr. Charles Ward, who worked there as well. He provided us with some pigtail, and I want to thank all of you, the entire business of Nevis Food Center, along with all those who work there, and I'm asking persons to patronize the Nevis Food Center accordingly. I also want to thank Carrie Breweries. Of course, they supplied the drinks for this event. Well, we had to buy them, yes, but of course they delivered. But their services are always needed to ensure that you have a smooth flow in the bar. They also provided a tent that went over the bar at no cost to us, and we certainly appreciate that. In a big way, Mr. Vincent Perkins and Islander Water Sports, they came through for us. They always do, and I want to thank him. He not only transported the band back and forth from St. Kitts to Nevis, he also would have provided us with ice for the event, and I want to thank you, Vincent. Every time I call on you, you always deliver, and I certainly appreciate it. Any which way I can reciprocate your effort, I will always do so, because I know that you mean well for the community, and I know you have played your part in ensuring that the transport business continue to be revolutionized in many ways, because you have brought on board this particular business, and the thing has been transformed. You can get from St. Kitts to Nevis in no time, and almost at any time. I'm sure if you call him 1 o'clock in the morning, once the price is right, he's going to come, because that is his business, and that is his way of doing business. He has been at it for quite a number of years, and I want persons to continue to patronize this business. They employ quite a number of persons, and indeed, with those persons being employed, you feel the economic impact throughout the entire economy and the entire island of Nevis. So thank you, Vincent, and the Islander Water Sports. Lerigo Bus Service, every time I call on him, he's always available to transport the band, to transport anyone who I ask him to transport. Thank you. Nevlek, I also want to thank you for coming by to sort out some issues early in the morning, electrical issues, that is. And then let me thank Franchette Manners and his team up there at Zone 1 Auto. Zone 1 Auto, he provided water for us, that water that we so love, Island Purified Water. I want to thank you, Franchette. At short notice, just walking in, he was able to provide us with some cases of water. Thank you. Carl Claxton down there at Reliable Motors and his team for providing us with some ice. Carl, I saw him on Sunday, the Sunday before the event. I asked him, Carl, what can you contribute? I don't need any money. He said, bring a cooler by the next day and we'll get you some ice. So as cool as that. Cooler and as cool as that. Yeah? Redundancy of words. But also, I also want to thank Kevin Wilkin as well. He came through with ice, and I want us all to patronize his business up there in Potworks area. Grub Snacket. You see that little snacket right at the side of the road there in the vicinity of the Medical University of the Americas. He would have provided us with some ice, of course, yes. George Botai Chapman. Botai came through in a big way. He has his trucking business. He has other things that he's into. But we ask him for chicken, he provide. We ask him for whatever transportation, he provide. Thank you very much, George Botai Chapman. And I wish your business well. The same thing of George Bushman Chapman. That's the dad of Botai. George would have given us some fish as well. A couple occasions we call and he said, I have some fish, come for it. That's those small doctor that you sell with some Johnny cake. Then those things went fast, quick. And I want to thank you, George. We made some money out of that as well. Asim Chapman is the son of George as well. He also contributed. Steve Tyson and his team there at Nelson Spring Waters. Steve, I called him. I told him I'm buying some bottles, empty bottles. So I need some cases of water. He told me to buy the water and he'll give the bottle. I said, no, I want to make some money out of the water. So we were able to get, I believe, 6 cases of water from Steve. Steve, thank you very much. And like I said, things are rough, and irrespective of what, you came through big, and we appreciate that. 6 cases of water was your contribution. Thank you. And I also want to thank Gary down there at Navy Spring Water for his contribution as well. And this gentleman is one that I must mention. Mark, I'm running out of time, but I came here to give thank you to everybody. The issues that we'll attend to would be done from next week onwards. But this program today is about the persons who would have gone above and beyond to make the event a success that we had on May 29th. But Fitz Fulton, whether he wants his name called or not, he is the manager of Mapao. You know, that casino over there at Posante. I called him for a case of saltfish, and he didn't hesitate. Thank you, Fitz. Thank you very much, because we were desperate at the point in time, and you came through big. And Mapao, I don't want to encourage everybody to go down to Mapao, because some persons will not do that. But those of you who can, go down and patronize the business. Clarence Quayle is an uncle of mine in St. Martin. He sent 2 cases of chicken. I want to thank you, Clarence. I called you and you found a boat to get them on, and they came and they were sold. Thank you. Wendell Bunks Skeet up there in New York, I'm shouting you up because Carol came by with $300 and said, this is Bunks' contribution to the event. So Bunks, I want to thank you. From all the way in New York, you were able to make your contribution and make your impact on this particular event. I want to thank you. Carol, I want to thank you for coming by as well to deliver those funds, and also I believe you got a taste of some of the items that were being sold there as well. Gwyneth Brooks, thank you for your work in terms of preparing the chicken and also some Johnny cake as well. And over there at Link Up Bar in Camps, that's next to Pemos, there's a young lady there by the name of Raquel. Should have done the oxtail. It was well done, very tasty as well. And I want to thank you, Raquel. We didn't give her anything else other than the what do you call it, the oxtail, so she did the rest. Adolph Lager Jeffers provided us with some pork. Thank you, Lager. He would have slaughtered a pig and gave us some meat, and that's how we were able to get this 2 pork. Rudy Waterrush Brown, you all know him, right? Waterrush. He provided 2 heads of mutton, and he gave us a discount on the cost of those mutton. Thank you very much. Dan Liebert up there he's a farmer up there in Fountain. He has a plot of land in Westbury, just below Jujop, and another one up at the top of Westbury Road. So he gave us some sun melon. Sun melon, for those who don't know, is that yellow melon. Very tasty, sweet as well. He provided us with that, so we're able to serve some of that for breakfast. Mr. Hanley, I don't have his first name, but he has a farm right over there opposite the Marinas pub. He's the brother of John Hanley. He gave us a good supply of cucumber. Call him, and he said, sure, drop by, and we got that. Rosalind Warner, right next to the event, we want to thank you for your breadfruit and your hospitality as well. The landscaper cleaned up the area. Bishop from Brick Hill there, he would have cleaned up the area where we had the event. Cassandra Jeffers, you played your role as well. I want to thank you. And all of the police that are stationed there at the Newcastle police station, they provided security throughout the event. They provided security after the event, and even up to this morning they were providing security. So we want to thank them for their effort, and it's always good to see that community cohesiveness and that bonding with the police, because when that is the case, then you have a much more harmonious community, a much tighter knitted community, that is, where we can all live together and live a decent life in a community that we can all be proud of. I also want to thank Morris Hanley. I'm going to call your name, because when I wanted those Johnny cakes from Mrs. Pemberton over in Church Ground, you were in the Gingerland area and you didn't hesitate to go and pick them up. Save me a whole trip over towards the Gingerland area. Thank you very much, Maris. And then, of course, Heinz Electrical, they provided a generator for the event, and we want to thank you, Heinz, for your contribution. Sequip Rental, he made a contribution as well. Jean Hamilton, she made some Johnny cake. Thank you very much, Jean. Your Johnny cake was sumptuous, very nice. I want to thank you. And also Dexter Harley and Runaway Grill. Runaway Grill, I want you to patronize that place. It's right up there next to the airport. They make pizza, they have chicken, and they make burgers. They do all sorts of things inside there. I want you to patronize Dexter. He's always there when you call him. He's a true community man. You call him for a donation. You call him to add his effort to anything, and he's always there. And I want to commend him for his support on this one as well. One Coco and your services, I want to thank you. They provided toilets for that day. Sheila Jeffers, I think I called her name before. Thank you, Sheila. Wendell Wallace and Valley Maynard of the New Vision cricket team, they provided us some ice as well. I want to thank them for their effort. And of course, Finella France would have provided us with some drinks, some locally made drinks on that day. And last but not least, Varita Stapleton would have done a stock of Johnny cake. Put it that way. She provided Johnny cakes for that morning, and the names were called not in any particular way, but everyone was equally as important as the other. I want to thank everyone. I want to thank the persons who came out and patronized the event, and like I said, we certainly appreciate you being there, because without you being there and spending your money, the effort would have been to no avail. So I want to thank you for coming out and supporting this event. And indeed, it took me some time to go through all this, but that was the intent. That was the intent of this particular program, because we want to make sure that once we recognize, and it's a costly thing to deal with, so when these efforts are duplicated, whether in Bricklin Butlers, whether in camps, whether in somewhere in St. John's, Brownhill, wherever, we should all go out and support. But let me also say to persons out there, it is also good to explore the possibilities of having insurance as well. Many persons may not see the need per se because of the cost involved, and you may not need insurance at the particular time. 2 years down the road, you never know what will happen. 6 months down the road, you never know. But if you are insured and you continue to pay those contributions or payments, whatever they're called, then of course you'll stay eligible to be looked after when the time comes. But of course it is costly, so you have to plan your budget accordingly. But then you have to think about yourself in the end. What am I doing to ensure that I'm protected? And if insurance is the way to go, I encourage all of us to go out and seek out the best possible insurance. When it's all said and done, your life is yours. It's in your hands. But of course the community around you will always try its best to rally around you, but when it's all said and done, it's incumbent upon all of us to try our best to protect ourselves for any eventualities. Ladies and gentlemen, it's just about 5 minutes to 2 o'clock, or just about the time when we'll wrap up. But of course, we have other issues that we'll deal with next week. I certainly came prepared for other issues in the event, but I won't start any new issues this afternoon, other than to say that part of my discourse here on a Friday afternoon will be looking at some of the accomplishments of the Nevis Island administration. Of course, you hear a lot of negativity being spewed out there, but that is okay. Everyone have an opinion in this island. It doesn't mean that your opinion is the correct opinion or the only opinion out there, but there are opinions to be expressed about every issue here on the island of Nevis. What I will say to you though is that one of the opinions that have been expressed over the last year or year and a half, which is now a worn out and overused opinion or phrase, and that is nothing is happening on the island of Nevis. Well, I am going to come here on a Friday afternoon and point out what is going on, and if it takes me one Friday, 2 Fridays, to repeat them over and over again so that it is communicated the right way. I'll do that because listen, good things are happening on the island of Nevis. I go around Nevis every day and you speak to people, and people have their challenges and difficulties. Yes, we're no different to Antigua, we're no different to Trinidad, we're no different to the United States, we're no different to no country in Europe. All countries throughout the globe right now are experiencing challenges and difficulties. But I'll tell you something. Nevis is so nice right now that persons have 2 and 3 jobs. And it's not because they have to, but the demand is there for employees. Many businesses are putting up all sorts of job listings, and persons need to go out and seek out these and go and get a job if one is available. It may not be what you want to do at the time, but it is a job anyway. When it's all said and done, there is a payment that you'll receive for your effort. It's called a wage or a salary. And that being said, I will say to everyone out there, if 2 jobs can be worked in a day, go ahead and work it. If you can get 3 jobs, go ahead and do that, because there are certain times of the year when things will be at this particular level, and then you'll have a fall off, and then you'll have an increase again at some other point. But I know for sure Nevis have a lot of good things going for it right now, and I am so glad that persons are singing the praises of the Nevis Island administration and the leadership of the Honorable Mark Brantley, of course. But indeed, we'll speak more about that as we go along, and I'm sure something like the non-established established workers compensation or what you call it, pension package that was introduced in September of 2022, and the discussions along those lines were held with all of the non-established workers last Friday, I think, whereby persons were updated as to what is available to them now as non-established workers. We have to give the NIA tremendous credit for that, because of course, from my understanding, is since 2011 that particular package was being worked on at the federal level. As a matter of fact, when I was there as a member of cabinet, there was a team that was seeking to advance that particular package over there, and indeed they call themselves different things over there. Well, it's a different name by which non-established or persons who are not established workers, they are called auxiliary workers and syndicates, and there was a package being worked on for auxiliary workers over on syndicates. Of course, it hasn't come to this particular level as yet, as we have done from the Nevis Island administration standpoint. So that we'll talk about in subsequent weeks. As a matter of fact, I'll speak about that next week. I'll go into it, into details, so that at least persons know what is involved. And indeed, all non-established workers should be pleased with the effort that is being made on the part of the Nevis Island administration. It is not a package that I believe that one can say it is the best, but it is the best that is available to us at this point in time, and that is the bottom line. So that being said, it sounds like the music is coming on in my ears. I went through all those names. It took me an hour and I am happy that I was able to do so. So thank you once again for the patronage that was exhibited on Monday, and I want to wish the 3 recipients well. Hopefully they can recover and continue to contribute to the island of Nevis in the ways that they have done in the past, and also going into the future as well. Thank you very much, and I appreciate every effort. Thank you to Von Radio for allowing me to have this space, and indeed we'll try and utilize it to the best of our abilities moving forward. But like I said before, this was a program today just to pay homage and acknowledge all of the efforts that were extended over there on Monday of this past week, Monday 29th, that is. Oh, it was Monday of this week. Monday of this week, yeah. Seems so long ago, but Monday of this week. We appreciate all of the effort that was extended there. So that means it's a quitting time for me, just about 2 o'clock. Join us again next week, same time at 1 p.m. right here in the Caribbean's only powerhouse, that is Von Radio, 860 AM, 93.7 FM, the Caribbean's only powerhouse. Thank you very much, and we'll see you again next week, same time, God's willing. Thank you.
views and opinions expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Nevis Broadcasting Company Limited or its advertisers.
You're listening to